What's going on, world? It's your boy KAYFABEYBABY. This is Nerds Rule the World, back for another grown and sexy interview. I have the amazing Bella Lexi. Shout out to Don Juan DeMarco. My first booking with him to speak with some of our amazing adult community because I am a grown-ass man and we have grown-ass conversations. And so I'm so blessed to have the amazing Bella Lexi. How are you, Bella?
Thank you. I am super fantastic. I'm ready for the weekend for sure.
Right? I feel you. So thank you
Mm.
for starting your weekend with me. Um, I recently saw an interview with you and one of Nerds Rule the World's colleagues, my man Webster Style. I don't know if you
Okay,
recall that conversation, and
I do.
lovely. And I through that I learned more about you in regards to you used to be a police officer, a lieutenant, and your story became notorious. And then when I saw that interview, I was like, oh, I remember that. So shout out to my man Webster Style. But you are, I don't know if you like the term yet, but you're somewhat infamous. But I think that works with now the career that you're on. And I just want to tell you, having that been said, remembering what happened, I'm all about mental health and representation, and
Excellent.
but especially mental health, and because we all go through things, but to learn about, real world situations, while that might have made you like quote unquote infamous, certain people take another route with that and do self-harm. And I'm so happy and really honestly from the bottom of my heart happy that you're here. You're moving forward. You've turned that into something else. So let's go. Just thank you for your time, and you just love to see that when all things happen. Can we briefly touch upon that for a moment?
Yeah, for sure. And I do appreciate when I talk with people who are equally interested in mental health because I couldn't agree with you more. There were some dark times during that whole situation that made me infamous. But I do feel like it's really important to not ignore the fact that mental health is extremely important. And that is definitely something that I've carried into this career for myself as well. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And I'm definitely like say girls end up in my situation and they get outed and it's in the media. I was trying to reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm here if you just want to scream at the top of your lungs. I'm here if you want to vent about the situation, or if you just want to know what it was like for me. We walk a similar path, but in different shoes. So I do really try to kind of bring that into what I'm doing now as well.
Awesome, awesome. And I
Yeah.
just, yeah, have to give you all your props. It just shows that you have a great support system. So shout out to that support system, whether your husband, family,
Yeah.
just everyone that is there for you. And from those not in your system, and for myself out here, those of us that just, we all go through things, and it's great to see that you're still standing. And because there's love in the world, there's so much love in the world still.
Right, for sure. And it was funny because when everything was happening, I was like, oh man, now how am I going to be viewed? And am I going to still have friends? How's my family going to feel about this? How are the people who worked for me going to feel? And for the most part, I will say that it was a very positive experience, even though it was extremely negative, that negative cloud hanging over the whole situation. But I really was fortunate. And I think that ultimately, what all of that taught me was that I really was ready to get out of law enforcement. I just didn't know how. And I would say ultimately, this was not the best jumping off platform to exit my career of 28 years, but in the end, I couldn't be more happy and healthy. And I super love what I do. I'm very passionate about it.
Let's go. I love that. And so that to me is like when a lot of my friends in the queer community, when you can finally be your true selves, that you are really living. And so I'm so happy and excited for you. And so let's talk about that. So with that being said, because I'm sure you've talked to everyone about that story, everybody check out my boy Webster South's interview with the amazing Bella Lexi, discussing that. I want to talk about living your best life now, and taking
Yeah.
that into where you are now, because I know you've also kind of done a couple of skits, scenes in that vein. Can you talk to me about that transition and now like becoming your true self in different ways? Because a lot of that, you were trying to do that privately in your own way, and then in certain ways, and then it became on blast. But now, just okay, you know what? This is what we all do. We wouldn't even be here if somebody didn't have sex to make us here. Like, come on, it's so crazy. I grew up in Europe and all over, so sexuality isn't so constricted as it is here in the States. So tell me about living your best life, Bella.
Absolutely. I just love being able to perform. I love being in touch with who I've always been. I just was more or less under a rock per se, just based on the role that I had. And so and even my upbringing, but being able to just be true to who I am and being able to perform on camera in these scenes. I've worked with some incredibly amazing, talented people. And at first, it's like a little stressful on a scene to have all the lights and the cameras and the people and getting naked. But man, once as soon as you're naked and you're in it to win it, and it's amazing, and you forget about all the rest. So it's definitely made that transition that much more easy for me. And the fact that I've been so fortunate to have amazing talent that I've worked with. And then I think it just kind of spills over into my own amateur content that I make on my own as well. And I think anyone who watches what I do, you can definitely tell that I absolutely love doing this.
I dig that. So with that being said, so now fully ingrained into this, it's still work, right? So what has
Yeah.
been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned, and then that you also impart to other young performers that are looking to get into the business, and like scheduling out time for self-care, and then and not letting the work let be work
All
in a way,
consuming.
right? Because I've worked on adult films, and not as a performer but as a production member of the crew, and it can be work because you got to get certain angles, as you said, lighting setups. What are just some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way in that regard of that work transition?
All right. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that I don't know everything. And yes, sex is sex, but when you're doing it on camera, it needs to be more. It needs to be extra. And so figuring out the balance of, okay, does this look good or is it too over the top? Is this like super gonzo and not going to fit the role that I have and things like that? And then also feeding off and vibing off of everybody else in the room because so many people I've worked with have so much more experience than me. And I've just been one of those like, tell me all the secrets, show me the way, and just being really open to that feedback. And there is some criticism, which is great. You don't learn without it. And I think just accepting that I don't know it all. Like I went from a career where I knew a lot. I still didn't know it all there. And I definitely don't know it all here. And so I'm just like a sponge, I guess. And I have amazing friends in the industry, ones who've been in the business for 30 years, some who've been in the business for a year, 5 years, all the things. And so everyone has something different to offer to me. And I hope that I have the same things to offer to others as well.
I dig that. Have you come across any as a fan, when you now transition to being kind of fully into the career, that you look forward to working with, that you've worked with, or are there still legends on the bucket list maybe that you're looking forward to collaborating with? Uh,
Oh
go,
yeah. I mean, I've met a lot of people from obviously the porn and movies that I watched when I was younger. People like, Brittany Andrews, Victoria Zadrock, who I've shot with Victoria. She's amazing. I have met Tommy Gunn. He lives here in Colorado. He's very talented. I wouldn't say no to an invitation to shoot with him. And, but even like Max Fills, I would love to shoot with him. Our calendars just haven't lined up, but it is coming. And so there's just so many talented people that I just want to experience their vibe on set and produce something magical. That's always my goal. And I want people to feel that magic through the video.
I dig that. I love that. I worked with Victoria. Well, I didn't work with Victoria. I was supposed to do a project with Victoria like almost 12 years ago. That's crazy. I just remembered that when you brought her up. I haven't heard her name in a while. It's been a minute. And Max, I just met recently at Exotica, New Jersey.
Mhm.
So shout out to Max
Yeah.
Fills.
Yeah.
So working behind so producing stuff, what are some of the things you're looking to do? You do your amateur content for OnlyFans, but also, you're working with studios. What are some of your goals in the business that you want to bring to the table and or stories as well? Because we love the stories. You did a cop, based off of your
Right.
infamous incident. Are there other things as well that you're, again, looking to do?
Right. I would say that MILF was probably the most true to life scene that I shot that really like it featured my OnlyFans page on the video with Team Skeet MILF. And so that was pretty exciting. And but I think ultimately I just want to leave the industry better than I found it. So if there's something I can do to make an impact as far as that goes, a safer, more friendly, whatever that looks like, I definitely want to make that impact. And then ultimately I would love to have my own studio, and in my brainstorming around all that, I'm like, I want to bring back, royalties and things like that. So if someone shoots for my studio and their video does well, I want them to have the long range benefit from that. And so I think that's something that used to be around. It's not anymore. And I think that ultimately, I think that's the most fair way to do it for people that shoot for me. I mean, yes, I'm going to make money, but I want them to as well, not just their initial scene fee. And I feel like that's fair because it is hard work and you are traveling and you're away from home and you're away from your spouse or kids or pets, dogs, cats, whatever it is. And so I think that that's a very reasonable thing that I would like to incorporate into my studio.
I dig that. Speaking of traveling, I spoke of Exotica, New Jersey. I was recently there. Have you started traveling the convention circuit, going to AVN or Exoticas? Do you have any plans in 2025 to meet some fans? Hopefully meet me. I'd love to meet you in person.
Yes, for sure. Well, I will for sure be at AVN. That is one of my all-time favorite events. I just did it for the first time last year and I'm hooked for life. It was really amazing. And I super loved being able to see all of the talent that's been in the industry for so long and new. I mean, it was great to say meet Tanya Tate in person. She's amazing, right? But then there's like new girls like Gigi Dior and you know, gosh, I can't even think of it. I'm kind of on the spot here, but I've met so many great people there. And so I definitely want to do that again. I've met some incredible fans who they save up all year to go to one event. And I would say AVN is probably where I met the most fans. And so that was just like an awesome experience for me. But I have done some of the exoticas. Unfortunately, I couldn't do New Jersey and DC. This time of year is just really hard for me with, my kids and getting ready for winter break and all those kinds of things. I've done Miami, Chicago. I love. I will for sure be in Chicago in 2025 for sure. I'd like to try some of I want to do the X3 event. So I want to try to incorporate new events that I haven't done and then still keep some of my favorites on the table.
All right. I've always done DC, New Jersey. They've been like my home shows in a way because I'm here on the Mid-Atlantic region. So
Right.
I will have to venture out so I could come see you in Chicago or Miami or X3. I'm looking to expand as we're building out a whole nother adult side of NRW, Nerds Rule the World. So
Excellent.
we'll have to check in with you, Lexi. Um, being that this is Nerds Rule the World, where we have these grown and sexy conversations, but we're card carrying nerds. I'm curious, how much of a nerd is Bella Lexi? What are some of the things you're nerdy into? I see you kind of look like you have a gamer chair, like you have a whole setup. Is that
I
not only
do.
because of, the OnlyFans communications, but are you like into other nerdy things? Or what are you?
I do, as far as gaming goes, I play like the show. I play oh gosh, the golf game just escaped me. But that's about the only gaming that I do. And I keep saying I just need to get on my Twitch and start gaming with people. But I haven't done that. But as far as nerdy stuff, I would say sports all the way.
Okay.
Like, last night I'm watching the game and I like the Browns. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go, boys. And then it's the snow, and it brought me back to old days when I was younger. We had all the snow games here in Denver with the Broncos. I dig sports, like all of it, basketball, hockey. I'm a huge golf player in real life, and then I love watching golf on TV. I know some people are like, oh, it's so boring. No, there's like so much stuff behind playing golf. And so I'm fascinated by all of that. So I would say if I was going to be super nerdy, it would be about that, but I also like just hanging out in sweatpants and doing not much of anything, just kind of vegging out.
So what do you veg out to? We want to get into Bella Lexi. What are the things you just chilling then?
Oh God, I
Yeah.
love true crime stuff. Like I just started this series on Netflix, I Am a Killer. Oh my God, it's amazing and the psychology behind it. And then I just sit there and I think about all I learned as a police officer and all of those kinds of things and remember sitting across a table from people who've done terrible things and talking to them and just it's fascinating to me. I might not be a police officer any longer, but I do still have a huge fascination with that. And I like all of the, like the behind the music kind of stuff, like all the documentaries now that they're doing on, people who have been in the music industry. I think I've probably watched all of the P. Diddy stuff. Like I like give it to me, like, I want to know all of the things. But yeah, that's really documentary kind of stuff. And
Okay.
of course, cop shows like Chicago
Yeah.
PD
What do you
and
think of that when you see that interpretation and the stuff that they edit out? Like Cops, one of the longest running shows on Fox. And
yes.
when you see is it spot on? Do you think, there's certain things they're editing out? Do you think we're getting that true sense of what that what is in
I
ways?
I think that we get a watered down version. And I think that I always used to joke with the guys who worked for me. I'm like, sometimes I was like, this is a training episode. And I would pull up something that I saw on one of those shows. And I'd be like, let's talk about the case law that they did not follow on this episode, because you're an actor and you don't know all of the ins and outs and the writers and directors, they don't know. So some of those things I would bring to my people. I'd be like, what do you think they did wrong here? But for the average person who's sitting down and watching it, they're just like, oh, this is amazing, so they don't look at it the same way. And I will say that now that I'm out of law enforcement, I'm far less sitting there with my husband and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just entered that apartment. They had no probable cause. They're going to violate their civil rights. I'm far less judgmental.
Got you. It was when you brought up true crime earlier. One of the interviews I just recently had this past week. There's a new season of Based on a True Story. I don't know if you've seen that. It's about a true crime podcast. Stars Kaylee Coco and Chris Messina. They have season 2 out now. I would highly recommend it. It's a really cool show about like this family that's true crime podcasters, and then they find themselves involved with crime now. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, I'll have to
And
check
then
that
I
out
just
for
spoke with
sure.
the director of Making Manson because they just released some tapes of
Yeah.
Manson, that they audio tapes. So as true crime aficionados, I like to,
Oh, for sure. It's like Monday is JonBenet Ramsey
oh, I saw
show
that.
is coming out. So oddly enough, my career has spanned many jurisdictions and many crazy things, but I worked the morning of the JonBenet Ramsey case in Boulder.
Oh, wow.
And I knew all the detectives that worked the case. I talked to people from all around the world about it. And yeah, so it definitely affected me personally as well as on a professional level. And for many years, I couldn't watch any of it because my friends were losing their careers and there was just so much speculation and stress around it. And then all of a sudden, one day I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm going to read this book by Steve Thomas, one of the guys who was an investigator who I knew. And then boom, I was like all in. I was like, what can I get my hands on? So things like that. Like I'm fascinated to watch that on Monday, see if there's something new that I didn't know or, things like that. So definitely bringing some of the old cases back that I worked from gosh, 30 some years ago almost or
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, it's just little things like that that I can and now see, as far as DNA goes and how we're testing it and connecting people to crimes that I had investigated or responded on. So it's exciting.
Yeah. Always interesting. I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
see, so there you go. I geek out over all that.
I love that. I love that's we're card carrying nerds over here, and we want to change that visual, that or just that the feel that nerds are, Nerds, it's okay to be a nerd. We're cool.
Right. There's a
Nerds are
stigma
cool.
around it, but at the end of the day, we're really still cool.
Exactly. I want to bring it back to your adult work. Being married in the business, and like Max Fills is married to I met her to
Really?
Haley.
Yep.
Yes, Haley Rose, and she's
Yeah.
awesome. The fruits of that labor, if you will, being in the business and fulfilling your sexual fantasies, bringing it home. Um, does it get wild? How's like life at home? And with your husband enjoying things, just I don't know, how does it get wild, or do you like it to be wild? Does it get too crazy? I'm curious, and I mean it with all respect as well,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I wouldn't say that it gets too crazy. I love being able to come home and share with him the experience of everything on set before the scene comes out. And he's super supportive, loves hearing what I have to say. And then I also shoot a lot of my amateur content with him. And he is my behind the scenes guy a lot when I am shooting other content. He's a very talented videographer and editor. He also writes scripts for me. So, all in all, it's almost like a family business, and it's exciting to share that piece with him. He's been able to be on a set or two, courtesy of some amazing directors, and not because he wants to be overbearing. He just stands there quietly and he watches and absorbs it so that our own work can be better. And so I couldn't be more grateful for that than I am. And I like it's amazing. And we do have some super steamy sex whenever I come home and we share about it. And then, we're gonna knock it out of the park on our own.
Exactly. There's the reward. And that's just the beauty of how to just be successful and survive in this industry, and
Right.
is having that support system and that back and forth. And then you just
Oh,
build
for
upon
sure.
that. Yeah.
You do, and it's work. Like when you show up at a set, it is work to put out that amazing product. And he also knows that I'm not trying to like get involved with anyone I work with. In fact, anytime we're at an award show or an event, I introduce my husband to he's met everyone that I've shot with. And they've been super amazing when they meet him in person. And they're like, yeah, your husband really is as cool as you said he was.
I dig that. I dig that.
Yeah.
So 2025, as we move into the new year, because it's the end of the year right now, as we're talking to y'all, it's the holiday season as of this recording. What are some of the what are the things that, well, actually, we're getting close to Thanksgiving. We're like a week away from Thanksgiving right now. What are some of the things we're thankful for 2024? And then what are some of the goals as we lead into 2025, Bella?
I would say that in 2024, I was very thankful for all my fan nominations. Those were incredible and allowed me an opportunity to have great experiences in the industry. I'm thankful for all the studios who gave me a chance and allowed me the opportunity to show how passionate I am about this industry. And I'm thankful that myself, my husband, my kids, my whole family, I'm thankful that we're all healthy and that they are supportive enough for me to be able to do all of these things and travel around and spend time away. And then I would say for 2025, my fleshlight is coming out, my fleshlight Pro. Yeah, I just had a final conversation with them today. So we're just tying up a couple loose ends, and that's going to be out. And just, I'm hoping to shoot a lot more for some studios and shoot some more amazing amateur content and shoot with some new people and give them a chance to kind of come along on this journey with me because I feel like if people hadn't given me a chance, then, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I do like to give back in that aspect. And then, if things go according to plan, then hopefully I'll be able to kind of start up my studio and figure that piece out. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited and I can't wait to see what happens. And of course, big things come when you're not expecting it as well.
Exactly. I love that. Love that for you. Gonna put that energy into the universe.
Thank you.
Um,
I'll take it all.
Definitely. So flashlight, that's awesome. What was that like in when that came along to have like a tangible product as well now that you can, push and promote and everything.
Right. It's exciting. And the whole process was so educational and talk about vulnerable. Like to do all of that is quite an experience. And I don't regret any of it. It was incredible. I learned so much. And then to have this box show up at my house and I'm like, okay, is this gonna look like me? All those kinds of things. And then just to unbox it and then like see this this prototype that is me, I was like, oh my God, like this is just like the craziest thing. And then, I'm like, oh, can we take a picture? Somebody asked, can we take a picture side by side so I can see if it's like really real, does it really look like me? And then it was super cool. I got to sign it. So my Flexi Pro will have my signature on it and things like that. Yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled. And that's a big deal. Like not everyone gets one of
Exactly.
those.
I'm saying that's why congratulations. And I have to ask, if I was married to you, like I have the real thing, if I was you're my wife, he has the real thing in you, but I would want to test it. If I was you, I want to know if it's like was that a
You just
conversation at
wait.
all?
You just wait. There's going to be a hot, spicy video.
Ooh.
Yep. And it will only be released on my website.
That's
It
a
will be
great way to
exclusive
promote.
to that. It's going to be super steamy, sexy, amazing. So, yes, definitely stay tuned for that because you'll get to see how that all unfolds.
I love that. I love that that's coming. That is awesome. Well, that's a great way to push the site. And Bella, shout out to you. Shout out to your husband, and just shout out to the entire support system. Just
Yes,
your story. I'm just so thankful for you that you're here, and
thank you.
with all the friends that I've made in the business. Just things can turn left, and it's crazy. But we're here to
Yeah.
support you. Thank you for coming through and talking to me. As these other things develop, please come back so I can give you your virtual flowers, and hopefully I'll see you in person to maybe give you some real flowers. It is a pleasure talking to
Absolutely.
you, Bella.
Yes, that would be amazing. I appreciate you having me on. And I'm just going to do a quick little plug for myself,
Oh, please.
because
I
I'm
was gonna,
here.
I was gonna ask you. Give me all the social handles, everything, and whatever else you want to put out there.
Well, so because, socials are what they are, I've lost some pages, and so none of them are the same across the board. So I was just tell everybody go to my website. It's therealbellalexi.com, and it has all of my socials. There's stories about me, access to my store if you want to order custom things. I have clothing items for sale. I have all of the things, anything you want to know about me is there. That's where I primarily message a lot of my people there in OnlyFans. And so I'm not the best at communicating on social media because I have them all, right? Even the new Blue Sky, whatever. But that's a one-stop shop to get all the things. And that will also have a link to my fleshlight as well.
I love it. And stay tuned for that content, y'all. With
Yes,
the husband, with the new flashlight. I love that.
it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see it. It's gonna be incredible.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bella. It is a pleasure chatting with you. Please come back. Let's talk things up again as they come along. The amazing Bella Lexi, y'all. I'm KAYFABEYBABY. This is Nerds Rule the World, grown and sexy.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a cut. Record. All right, I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1 to bring us in, and we'll talk all the things. Bella Lexi.
All right.
All right, here we go. And a 1, 2, 3.